Hey guys, welcome to the booth. That's Ben Stark. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe, and we are ready for just 2 more rounds here of Standard in the World Magic Cup. Let's get down to the feature match area where Malaysia and the Slovak Republic await. And welcome to the World Magic Cup. We're in Nice, France. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Ben Stark, the Hall of Famer, and we are in the feature match area with our undefeateds. 5-0 currently in the tournament. The Slovak Republic versus Malaysia. For Malaysia, we see Johan Jamal Jakob. He is playing Obzon mid-range, and he's up against quite a contender. He's got a little smile on his face. Ivan Flak from the Slovak Republic. He's on blue-black control, but I don't know how much he should be smiling here, Ben. He's down to 5 cards.
It's rough. I mean, it's tough when you have to mulligan. You don't have lands, but you know you're at a big disadvantage on 5. It's really hard to win.
All right. Well, he's going to start things off with a dismal backwater. One of those words probably describes how he feels about mulliganing to 5, but it looks like nothing too quick out of the gates here for Johan. Just a quick profile of the teams. As far as professional level play appearances between the two teams, the Slovak Republic has 164. That's 100 GPs and 64 Pro Tours between them. Malaysia, a few less, though not too many fewer. It's 17 Pro Tours, which is a lot fewer, and 45 GPs for a total of 62. So, you know, definitely outmatched as far as experience at high-level Magic goes, but they've definitely been around the block, and they're sitting here at 5-0.
Yeah, that's not that small an amount of experience. Just the Slovak might be the most experienced team in the tournament. I mean, I don't really know, but that's a lot of Grand Prix and Pro Tours played.
You know, I know for the for the Pro Tour side of things that Frank Karsten is the most experienced team in the tournament. He has raised up the Netherlands to higher than anybody. All right, so let's see what we got going on here in the early stages. Well, at least there's a Thoughtseize there for Ivan Flak. The Pro Tour champion, the 2-time Pro Tour top 8er, has really risen to the highest levels of the game after having played for 14 years or something, you know, battling it out. I remember how relieved he was when he made his first top 8, and then apparently he was so relieved he decided to make another one. There's a second land for Ivan. That's pretty nice, but he's under pressure here, Ben. Fleecemane Lion.
Yeah, and Thoughtseize not great against the Obzon aggro deck. He would much rather see like a Thoughtseize, an Obzon mid-range deck, where Thoughtseize might take their only threat, and then maybe this game could go long and Ivan could draw out of it. But I think he saw a bunch of creatures that are going to come into play pretty quickly. So this is going to be a really hard game for Ivan to win on 5 cards.
Oh, no. And here's Onofenza the Foremost, which is going to put serious pressure on Ivan Flak, and of course it resolves. He draws a counter spell, no land, has to turn pass a turn back to Johan, and this could be a very quick game 1, as that's 8 damage and half of Ivan's life total disappearing.
Yeah, this is one of the downsides of control decks. You know, when the games go long, they're at an advantage, but they're not able to punish opposing bad draws in the same way that aggressive decks are. I mean, even realistically cannot recover from this.
Right.
But let's pretend that the roles were reversed. You know, if he was making land drops playing blue-black control, certainly the Obzon aggro deck who mulled to 5 and maybe didn't have a great start would be at a disadvantage. But they would have time to outdraw the blue-black deck down the stretch.
All right, so that is going to be the first game going to Malaysia. We'll be back after these messages.
Outfit your Magic collection with the newest Khans of Tarkir accessories from Ultra Pro. You can see the full array of card sleeves, deck boxes, playmats, and portfolios of your favorite Magic artwork at ultrapro.com. Hump bigger game by playing in a Grand Prix. These open tournaments feature the best players in your region as well as top Magic pros from around the world. Upcoming Grand Prix include Baltimore, Milan, Denver, Manila, Omaha, and Shizuoka. Visit magic.wizards.com/Grand Prix for a complete schedule.
All right, so a quick start for the team from Malaysia as they're up 1 game already. We're going to jump over to Table A, which is that frontmost table. Raymond Tan playing Mardu mid-range versus Jan Tomkani playing Jeskai Tokens. Looks like the life totals are 16 to 17 here, so we're still in the developing stages of the game, though it looks like Tomkani has got the tokens.
A lot of players we've seen have chosen this Yuya Watanabe build of Jeskai as opposed to the more traditional one. I imagine that they tried it out and really liked it, so I'm starting to think we might have a new Jeskai deck on our hands for Type 2.
It could be interesting. And it looks like we might have a pair of Hordling Outbursts fighting against each other here as Raymond's going to play his own.
Yeah, they're playing very similar decks.
Yeah, one of them is the Mardu version. So it looks like, let's see here, fairly similar. So we have Obs on mid-range, Mardu mid-range, and then a blue-black control on the Malaysian side. The other team decided to go for black-green Constellation, Jeskai tokens, and then the blue-black control. So pretty different approaches to Unified Standard here.
Yeah, I mean, you see two color decks, and they're sharing black, so they're able to have good lands because you can have an unlimited amount of swamps, and they're not sharing dual lands. They're splitting up those black cards, Thoughtseize and Heroes Downfalls, but that leaves red, blue, and white for the third deck, and he gets to play a complete copy of Yuya Watanabe Jeskai tokens. And I'm not sure that they even made any changes. I mean, that deck just came out. I can't name every card in Yuya's sideboard, but I'm looking at the deck, and it looks almost card for card.
All right, looks like this is a Stoke the Flames here, as Jan is not interested in doing any trading here, which is going to drop Raymond Tan down to 9.
When I see a game like this, I think that the Jeskai deck is heavily favored because he's not under pressure. It's about an even board. I mean, forget about the fact that he's burning them out now. Obviously, he probably has lethal burn if he's firing all of this at his head.
Yes.
But even if he didn't, in this kind of a stalemate, the Jeskai deck has 4 copies of Treasure Cruise and 4 copies of Jeskai Ascendancy. So if the game goes long with both players at high life totals, that really, really favors the Jeskai deck.
Okay, and it looks like that got the job done there. Jan Tomkani picks up a win for his team, the Slovak Republic, and evens things up, at least on the game count, though not in his particular match. Right now we have Johan up a game over Ivan Fluck, and now Jan up a game over Raymond Tan. Let's jump into our mid-table. This is the only table we haven't seen yet, and this is Joe So on the left-hand side for Malaysia. He's on blue-black control, as you can see by the existence of the Perilous Vault there. And then Mikhail Guldan is black-green Constellation, and he's got a whole bunch of very small creatures.
Yeah, I have to feel like Malaysia really got the good pairings this round. I think...
you like this matchup for blue-black?
I like this matchup for blue-black, and I like Obs on aggro against blue-black. I don't know about the other matchup. The other matchup is actually probably in Slovakia's favor. I mean, the deck is new. I'm not really sure. But when 2 mid-range decks collide and one of them has a bunch of late-game card drawing, I tend to assume that one is going to be a favorite.
Okay.
But
that makes sense.
Yeah, that would still be 2 matches to 1. Although I'm not that confident in the Obs on aggro versus blue-black control matchup. It feels like with Thoughtseize and guys that hit that hard, you should be good against them. But I don't really know if that's the case.
Okay. Well, in the meantime, Joe So is going to use Bile-Blight to clear out a pair of Elvish Mystics and lessen the pressure significantly on his life total. As I think he's at 10 again. He played a Dismal Backwater to jump up and then took one from the Satyr Wayfinder, who is sort of the last refuge here of pressure from Mikhail. So in it comes again. Nope. No, we're going to see a Bile-Blight. He's just going to aggressively take it out. Does that signal to you that he has some type of card draw in hand or something?
Yes, it signals that he has a very good hand, that he just happy to trade Bile-Blight even for the 1/1, just keep the board clear because, you know, he's got Dig Through Time or Jace's Ingenuity or something like that.
All right, why don't we jump over to our original match again. We didn't really get to see much from Ivan Fluck, a pair of lands and not much else. So I think that, well, as we see him jump up, actually, now this is one thing that we see here at the World Magic Cup is Ivan is now jumping in and kind of guiding the ship here. And who better to coach you, by the way, to sit on the opposite side of a blue-black control? Like, Ivan knows that deck inside and out, had great success with it even at the Pro Tour level. But in the meantime, he's also not at the table.
Yeah, definitely not the guy you want to see sitting across from you when you're playing blue-black control. But I think that game was firmly in So's hand.
It felt like it for sure. All right, we're back to business here. And here's Ivan Floch doing exactly what he loves to do, playing these sort of slow, ultra-long game control decks. He's had a lot of success with these type of decks over the last 6 months to a year. And he's off to the races. You can take a look at the Malaysian team as a team. You can get an idea for their experience level and success level at the professional stage. In the meantime, not a whole lot going on.
Looks like a pretty solid hand for Ivan, though. I see the hero's downfall, so that'll take care of the first threat, and then he can go into card draw mode. The Abzan aggro deck, it plays a lot of really good threats each turn, but it doesn't really produce more than one threat a turn. So if the blue-black deck has a good draw and can just kill everything on cue, then they can get to their late game.
Now, if you looked at this list here, we have it listed as Abzan mid-range. Is this the full-on aggro version, like with Death Dealers and all that?
I think so. I mean, we haven't seen the whole deck yet, but from the cards he's played, I mean, it really looks like it is.
Okay, I see he has one. Oh, but he's got 4 Soldier of the Pantheon.
I didn't expect that.
Wow, Blood-Soaked Champion?
This is like Abzan super aggro.
This is Abzan super aggro. I actually haven't seen this list yet.
No, I haven't seen anything like this.
Huh, that's interesting, yeah.
So
Herald of Torment, Unoffensive the Foremost, Fleecemane Lion, Heir of the Wilds ×4, Blood-Soaked Champion ×4. His top end is Siege Rhino.
yeah, what this makes me think is that this matchup is even better for the Abzan player than I thought, because blue-black control has trouble if the creatures are too quick, if they have to use the slow spot removal on them. And the Blood-Soaked Champion's ability to come back, I mean, it can be Perilous Vaulted, but that's so many mana, and that card's so cheap. If they have to Bioblight it or something, it can just come back. Plus, this deck should have a 1-drop most games and can put out multiple creatures on turn 2 or 3 since it has all these 1-drops. So even though this game is going well for Ivan, I think that this is a very tough matchup for him.
Yeah, it seems really, really rough as Unoffensive the Foremost crashes into the red zone and drops Floch down to 16. What's the follow-up play here?
Yeah, I don't know if
this is interesting.
Yeah, will he cast Siege Rhino into all that open mana? Does he have two? It depends. Does he have 2 things to do if he doesn't? If he has 2 different things to do, I almost certainly would not. If he doesn't, I'd probably just play the Siege Rhino.
Can see his hand there.
Yeah, he's got Rakasha Death Dealer and Herald of and Heir of the Wilds. Yeah, I wouldn't play the Siege Rhino. I would just play the 2/2/2s. You're not that worried about Drown in Sorrow. They're small creatures. They're not that important. You don't want to get your Siege Rhino countered.
Yeah, and Drown in Sorrow does not take care of Unoffensive either.
Right. I like this play. Whoa.
Oh, he's going to leave up regeneration mana here?
I don't like that play. You have no reason to know if he has Drown. It would take basically his whole turn. You'd be hitting for another 4 with the Anafenza. And you have a Siege Rhino, so if he basically taps out to Drown, I mean, he could have 2-up and could have Disdainful Stroke, but that's a lot of could-haves. And if he basically taps out to Drown, you get to play Siege Rhino, hit for 4, drain for 3, have 8 in play for the next turn. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not horrible or anything. Personally, though, I would cast the Heir of the Wilds right here, right now.
Well, Johan's going to take a little bit more of a conservative line here and play around Drown in Sorrow.
I mean, one of the main disadvantages of this blue-black control deck is that it doesn't have end hostilities. Its Sweeper Perilous Vault is very slow. So if they don't already have it in play, there's not that much drawback to dumping your hand a little bit.
Yeah, you got to figure that Johan would be pretty happy with that outcome if he played those creatures out and Ivan Floch's response was to play Perilous Vault. He gets to hit him for a ton.
Yeah, Ivan would almost be dead. I mean, 3, 7, 9, 11, 13?
That's definitely almost dead.
And then he's got the Siege Rhino, so when he uses the Perilous Vault, he could just Siege Rhino for the final 3 and kill Ivan, most likely.
Right.
So, I mean, yeah, I think this is too conservative. I think you can afford to spew an Heir of the Wilds here if he has Drown in Sorrow that you have no reason to think is in his hand. It could be.
Yeah. Now, Johan drew a Thoughtseize here, so he's going to get a chance to look at what Floch's working with, and let's take a look ourselves. Well, he's got kind of a lot of his top end here. Jace's Ingenuity, Pearl Lake, Ancient, and Dig Through Time with an Island and a Dissolve. Does he have to dissolve here? Like, can he risk Johan playing a Siege Rhino this turn if he's got another land?
Well, I don't think dissolving that will stop him from siege rhinoing. I think Ivan made the right play here. Make him choose between dissolve and Jace's ingenuity.
Yeah, that's
or
what I'm saying.
Time.
If he dissolves, then he could get siege rhinoed. This way, you know, if Johan wants to siege rhino, he's going to have to use it on the dissolve, and he gets to keep his Jace's ingenuity.
Right, and actually, I just realized he can dig through time, which, I mean, is probably better than Jason's ingenuity right now, because he does need to find specific answers.
What is he looking for at this point?
Spot removal.
Like
I mean,
multiple spot removal spells?
Yeah, there's only 2 guys in play. I mean, they're great guys, but, you know, if Ivan can find, you know, all the spot removal that takes care of those, you know, the board's not that far from stabilized. Obviously, Ivan's on his back foot. You know, he's taking a lot of damage.
He's taking 7 here at the minimum.
Yeah.
And it does look like Jakob, let's see what he's got here. He's got the land. He's got a mana confluence, so he can slam Siege Rhino here if he wants to.
Yeah, I mean, he almost certainly will. He knows the coast is clear.
Right, he took out the dissolve for this purpose. So maximum pressure here from Johan.
Yeah, so while last turn I might have played the air, this turn I love what Johan's done. This is exactly how he should play this turn. You know, you can lead off with Thoughtseize. It might be right to attack first. I'm not really sure. What are the advantages and disadvantages, let's see, of Thoughtseizing first? You give him the opportunity to use a removal first, and then you can play things first. That doesn't really make a difference.
No, because on offense only is going to put that on a tap creature, so you're not getting the counter.
Yeah, so maybe attack.
Probably marginal either way.
Yeah, maybe attack first, but yeah, pretty marginal either way. And he took the right card with Thoughtseize. The key decision here. Definitely don't take one of the card drawing spells since Ivan has 2. You're not worried about the Pearl Lake Ancient. That's much later even still. You know, you take the Dissolve, you resolve your Siege Rhino, you know. I mean, there's a possibility now that Ivan's going to have to sack the Delta, dig through time, leaving 2 open, and try and dig into Disdainful Stroke, if he even has it in, because this is against the aggro deck, not the mid-range deck.
Especially from what, now this is a big question, because Ivan did not see a lot of Johan's deck in game 1, but we know it's significantly different than most, even the Obzon aggro lists that we've seen. This one is, I mean, it's got 4 Soldier of the Pantheon and 4 Bloodsoaked Champion. That's 8 1-drops that this deck is playing.
Right, and if this Siege Rhino resolves, Ivan's all the way down to 5. The Delta would put him to 4, which is key because it makes all 3 creatures lethal. Ivan doesn't have to use that Delta, I don't think. He does have 4 cards in the yard, so he could dig through time without the Delta, stay at 5, and then he would have to find 2 answers to the Anafenza and the Rakasha Death Dealer that he can play.
This is getting pretty rough.
Getting pretty rough. Can't even use the Delta. Goes to 1 from the Siege Rhino. Has to hope Johan has absolutely nothing else, and then he finds an answer to the Siege Rhino also, because he's not going to be able to bring the Pearl Lake online if he does that, because he would be at exactly 1, so he can't crack the Delta.
Right.
So instead, Ivan's sacking the Delta. You know, so obviously he's going to dig. Let's see if he has Disdainful Strokes.
You got to love Fluck. He's always smiling.
Yeah, he's a cool guy.
He really is. He loves playing, and I've asked him about some of the pressure situations he's found himself in, and it really doesn't bug him. He's just like, look, I'm playing Magic. I'm loving it.
Yeah, that's a very similar attitude to what I have. You know, it's a card game.
You're like that too.
It's a card game. It's fun. You know, we're here to have fun. I mean, winning is great, but at the end of the day, if you're not having fun, what are you doing? So it looks like, if I have Ivan's list here, he has 1 Disdainful Stroke in the main and 1 Disdainful Stroke in the board. We don't really know how he boarded, but I think if he finds a Disdainful Stroke here, if they're in his library, then he's not actually in that bad a shape, because he'll most likely find a removal spell also, because he's seeing 7 cards and he's got plenty of removal. If he doesn't find a Disdainful Stroke, I think his back is really to the wall. I'm not even sure if he has outs.
All right, well, let's see what he has here. He's going to take a look at the 7. Kind of make a joke with his teammate there.
I wish I spoke Slovak right now.
I do too.
And he
doesn't find it,
Yeah.
and Ivan Flock very politely extends the hand. But you know what that means? Johan just won the match, so Malaysia is now up a game, or I should say a match of the 2 out of 3 here over the Slovak Republic. Malaysia looking to remain undefeated on day 1 here. They're also up a game in that middle match that you see where Joe So was able to win his first game against Gul'dan. So they're close.
Yeah.
Wow, this doesn't look close, though. What in the world happened here? Joe So has missed, looks like 3 land drops and is now facing down a Colossus.
Yeah, and you know this green deck is not fast. And if you ask these players what their bad matchup is playing these types of green decks, they'll usually say control. But
because they just can't pressure the control deck in a timely fashion.
Right, and the control deck's answers like Hero's Downfall and Dissolve, you know, are just netting mana every time. You know, your threats cost more than their answers, and then they can't pressure you before you can dig through time and, you know, things like that. But if the control deck's stuck on 2 on turn 5, it's probably a pretty good matchup.
Probably not bad. There's a 6/6 Armor Colossus. It looks like it's ready to rumble here. It did not get Disdainful Stroked, so he clearly doesn't have one of those in his hand either. And there's a Doomwake Giant that's just really going to add to the board as far as a 4-power creature here and nothing else, and that's going to do it. So Mikhail Gul'dan has equalized. We're going to get a game 3 out of that match. And you hear Matai Zadelkai, who is quite interestingly in the coach seat this round. We saw in the previous iteration here, it was team sealed, and Ivan Flock was in the coach seat. He did not play those matches, and now, even though Matai Zadelkai is a Pro Tour top 8 competitor, he's not battling.
Well, they're certainly sitting him thinking he's one of the stronger players on the team. Some people think that's the correct strategy. I remember last year, Josh Utter-Layton, when he was the captain of the U.S. team was not particularly strong, and he chose to sit one of the 2 times so that he could look at all 3 matches and coach the guys.
Okay. So it is certainly one way to do it. I think the team dynamic and how well you all communicate and take direction probably factors in. There's some teams that should be suited for and some not. And they decided, yeah, this is going to work for us. So let's jump down to Raymond Tan versus Yam Tamkani. Jan is up a game here. He's on Jeskai tokens. And this is Mardu mid-range for Raymond, who has a good start so far.
And I think he'll need it. I think he'll need it. Like I said, I don't know the ins and outs of this matchup yet. The first time I saw anything like this deck was watching Yuya play in Worlds 2 days ago. But I do believe that this is probably a matchup that favors the Jeskai player.
Okay. Now, I think that Ray may have missed a land drop here. He should be on the play for this game, assuming, well, he had the choice. Let's put it that way. He had the turn 2 Seeker of the Way.
Yeah, it looks like...
But I don't see a land for him there.
It looks like Matai was telling Jan, don't Lightning Strike it now, wait for his main phase, because he might cast a Goblin Rabblemaster, in which case you would rather strike that and not let him get a 1/1 than strike the Seeker. Meanwhile, he can't really play 2 spells to blank the strike, and it's very unlikely that he's playing Feat of Resistance. So you can just strike it during his attack step next turn. Or I guess end of turn, if he's not going to do it now, I would do it now. Yeah, and there it goes. And that's the correct play. You don't strike it main phase because you want to strike Rabblemaster more. You strike it when it attacks. You're not worried about a post-combat Rabblemaster. There's plenty of ways to deal with that in his hand.
That makes sense.
Yep. Interestingly...
there's a land, though, off the top, I believe, for Raymond Tan here.
So what is interesting, though, is he apparently has an Anger of the Gods in hand as well. Oh. So he may not want to have strike that at all so that he could get a 2-for-1 with Anger.
So he does have a Rabblemaster post-combat here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he knew that Jan had removal. I mean, despite the fact that they had a discussion about what he should do on his last turn, even without the read, he's got the 2 open. It's turn 3. You know, he's probably got it.
You just can assume it.
Yeah, that's a nice play.
It's a nice play, and Raymond would rather have the Goblin Rabblemaster going forward. Now, it's likely to get killed here, but I mean, he does force Jan to have something to kill it.
Yeah, well, also, if he had played that...
And he didn't.
If he had played that pre-combat...
It would have got zapped, right?
It might not have. Jan having the Anger of Gods may have just took the 2, untapped, and angered everything away. So that's a really nice play by Raymond. Very subtle and, like, has a very big impact on this game.
So is he going to force Jan to fire off that Anger of the Gods that you see in his hand there just to kill the Rabblemaster?
Well, it depends on what his options are. I mean, if he has a Butcher of the Horde, that doesn't die to Anger, so that's an excellent play this turn.
You know, this is awkward, Ben. Sorry to interrupt, but
no,
both
please.
Players have Anger of the Gods in their hand.
Yeah, well,
how does that happen?
Granted, you know you have it in your hand, so you can kind of, you know, play a little coy and try and let the other guy overextend. It is probably incorrect for one of the 2 players to have boarded an Anger of the Gods, but sometimes that's hard to judge from what you saw in Game 1.
Okay. Well, In the meantime, hello, that Anger of the Gods got a lot better in Jan's hand, as it's going to now wipe away 2 Goblin Rabble Masters and the pair of tokens.
Yeah, and I don't like this play. If Raymond had nothing, I would go ahead and play that second Rabble Master. You don't know that he has Anger of Gods in the hand. You're not going to just pass the turn and do nothing. But if Raymond has Butcher of the Horde in hand, which I believe he does.
Let's take a look. There it is.
You know that that lives through Anger. So why not just play that here? There's no need to play the second Rabble Master over the Butcher. One thing you might be thinking is that he could play the Butcher with haste later, but that's unnecessarily greedy. If they live, you don't need it to have haste. And, you know, if he doesn't have a sweeper, I mean, I guess End Hostilities is a card too, but I assume Jeskai is a lot more likely to have Anger here than End Hostilities.
Yeah, and if that's your assumption, it didn't work out here for Raymond. He had both of those swept away by Anger of the Gods, and Jan also has the Jeskai Ascendancy that got him a little bit of extra value with a loot trigger there. But what's the follow-up for Raymond? Is he just going to slam Butcher?
Right, and don't get me wrong, I know we can see their hands and these players cannot. And like I said, if I didn't have Butcher there, I would slap down the second Rabble Master, absolutely. I don't know if he has an Anger in his hand. I don't even know if he's playing Anger or if he boarded it in. But he had Butcher, so it gives you the option to play around Anger and still use all your mana and have a great turn. So I think he definitely should have Butchered that turn.
All right, well, he's got a Butcher now. And let's see if that's going to be enough. Here's a Hordling Outburst, which is going to trigger the Jeskai Ascendancy. He finds a Rabble Master. And let's take a look at what Jan is working with in his hand here. So he's got to Stoke the Flames along with Chandra. Could try to line up a Stoke here with this with these tokens.
This is just excellent for Jan now. He's getting to loot every time he casts a spell, so he's almost turning that Stoke into a cantrip. I mean, not quite, he's not quite drawing a card, but he does have lands probably that he can discard. He's killing Butcher for almost 0 mana.
Yes.
I mean, this is...
Wow, what a huge tempo play.
Yeah, this is really showing off the power of this Jeskai deck.
The only sad part here is these tokens can't attack.
Right, because they've already been pumped?
Yeah, twice or once. Yeah, they could be getting in, but no. He's going to play the land out of his hand, though. It looks like he wants to build up his mana base a bit. You know, they have to be careful when you've got an Ascendancy out about the lands you play from your hand, because those could be turned into real spells.
Right. He chose to discard a land, get the Scry land in play. I guess he gets a little value off the Scry as well, so he figures this is a good opportunity to play the land rather than hold it. I think if that land was a basic, he might have held it. I think the Scry might have been the difference.
Okay, let's take a look at what Raymond has in his hand to try to combat this. A pair of Lightning Strikes and Anger of the Gods, and then he does have a really nice top-end spell here with Elspeth Sun's Champion.
And he's going to need it, because you know that Jeskai Ascendancy has the potential to take over this game. So I think Raymond's hope now is that he can Lightning Strike whatever he can and then slap down Elspeth and start making tokens. If that fails, I don't see Raymond outdoing these tokens outdoing that Jeskai Ascendancy over the long game.
Okay, well, he's going to start it off with Anger of the Gods. He's left Lightning Strike mana up here.
Right, didn't realize he had Anger, but yeah, I mean, keep the board clear, get that Elspeth in play as quickly as possible. I think that's Raymond's last hope, but it's not a bad hope, because Elspeth can be very tough.
Now, how big of a deal is Chandra Pyromaster if you're in Raymond Tansy?
It's good. Elspeth certainly trumps it. I mean, if he plays Elspeth this turn and makes 3 1/1s, the Chandra is going to be able to ping 1 and Elspeth for 1.
Yes.
That's good, but, you know, he can untap, attack it for 2, make 3 more 1/1s. Clearly, Elspeth can outduel Chandra head-to-head if they're played around the same time in the game.
Okay. Now, the interesting thing here for Raymond is you'll notice he doesn't have that 6th mana in hand, so he is going to need to find that if that's going to be his line. Let's see what he finds. Oh, he wants a land there. It's not. It's Anger of the Gods, which is not a great draw here. Now, one option he does have is to double Lightning Strike Chandra. Is that something you'd consider here, Ben?
Yes. If I didn't have Elspeth in hand, I almost certainly would not do it. I would just hope to rip burn, even though I have to rip 2 burn, because how are you going to win this game against that Jeskai Ascendancy? Since he does have Elspeth in hand, I almost definitely would double Lightning Strike the Chandra, because if I take that out, maybe Jan doesn't have anything right now or doesn't have much right now, and all I want to do is have the board as clear as possible and play Elspeth. Elspeth is my last hope in this game, and it's a good last hope. Elspeth can very easily win this game. Well,
right.
Not very easily, but it's capable of winning this game.
Right. Probably the most powerful spell in Raymond's deck. Now, here's a Goblin Rabble Master to start the beatdown for Jan, and he drew for his turn, Stoke the Flames. So that could be an issue for Elspeth, as he can use some combination of burn spells to maybe take down Elspeth, depending on how things go. Did Raymond draw a land for his turn?
No, it looked like he drew a Goblin Rabblemaster. And obviously, he's choosing to use the anger. Just keep the board clear, keep lengthening the game.
Ooh, there's a treasure cruise off the top now for Jan, and he cannot cast that quickly enough.
That was huge.
Wow.
If he whiffed this turn, if that was a land or even something like a Seeker or something like that, this is a game. I mean, Raymond's a dog, but this is a game. Elspeth could potentially beat this board.
He's an underdog?
Yeah. But, yeah, Raymond's an underdog. I mean, he could have beaten this board, potentially, if Jan had a weak draw step or two while he got Elspeth going. Now, with him effectively drawing 4 cards, using the loot, getting 3 more cards of Cruise, then he's going to get to keep on looting every time he plays a non-creature spell. I really doubt even Elspeth is going to be enough.
Yeah, this is interesting. It's just so much fuel for the Ascendancy. Like, his draws weren't actually great. He found, like, land, raise the alarm or something, which is fine, but those lands are going to turn into spells. Like, he's going to cast Raise the Alarm, pitch one of them.
Stoke.
The Ascendancy is so nasty.
Yeah, Ascendancy is really good going long out of this deck.
All right, now here is a land, though, for Raymond Tan. So is it time to just play Elspeth?
Oh, you can't wait. It's only going to get worse.
Here we go, then. He's going to crack that Bloodstained Mire. You notice he's been hanging on to that for a while, trying to keep as many lands in his deck as possible, as he was really hoping to draw one. Did, and now we're going to see Elspeth and see if she's enough.
Yeah, the decision there was pretty simple, right? If he did not have 6 mana casting cost cards in his hand, he would have definitely sacked the land because the 1 life is not as valuable as the thin out going long, and he's not under damage pressure. He's under pressure to end the game, to not go long. Since he needed to draw land, it would make no sense to sack it because he would be removing the card he's hoping to draw, effectively lessening his chances of drawing a land.
Exactly. All right, here she is. Elspeth. Raymond's life total is fine. He's at 15 now after casting Elspeth, but this is, at least currently, kind of his last hope. He needs Elspeth to stay on the battlefield and start to dominate this board. And if Jan can crack back and find a quick answer, right now he doesn't quite have it.
Yeah.
He's got the... thought he had a Stoke. I might have misseen, though. He's got Magma Spray, which doesn't do anything. He can cast Raise the Alarm, though, and you got to figure he's going to find an answer pretty quickly.
Yeah, well, I don't like this. It looks like he's on tapping, but I think he should...
Oh, he didn't play Raise the Alarm.
Yeah, I guess he's going to anger, but he's just going to make 3 more tokens next turn. Unless he has stuff we don't know about, I think he should have raised end of turn, looted. He could then attack and use the Magma Spray to give them +1/+1, and loot again and get further ahead. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not sure that anger was going to do anything, but I'm not sure that this anger is doing much, because he has no ability to remove Elspeth. This play looks less bad because he drew Treasure Cruise.
Yes, that is going to, kind of mask anything else.
Yeah, but like if he didn't draw Treasure Cruise, this wouldn't have been much of a turn at all. Whereas if he had to Raise the Alarm, he would draw a card, he would be able to Magma Spray, draw another card, presumably find some spell, let's say not something like Treasure Cruise, let's just any spell, and then he'd have 3 3/3s. If he drew 1 more removal in that 2 to 3 cards, he would actually be killing Elspeth, right? Or no, he'd only have 2 3/3s, I'm sorry. But he would be hitting Elspeth for 3 and removing the token anyway. He might have even gotten to the point where he could play the Anger and have his guys be 4/4s, but maybe not. That requires some pretty cheap spells because he doesn't have that many land in hand.
All right, well, he has found a Stoke the Flames. He did not have, I thought I saw one earlier. He did not have it before. He has one now. So it's going to be interesting.
Like, don't get me wrong. Like, those tokens were probably going to get blocked by the other tokens and probably not going to be able to kill Elspeth. But he certainly had the Magma Spray, so if anything, he would have eaten the tokens anyway using the Jeskai Ascendancy's ability.
Right. In the meantime, here's another Treasure Cruise, and oh, by the way, I'll loot first. And there, he has found the burn spells needed to kill Elspeth, though it doesn't look like he's going to be able to do it this turn. So Raymond Tan, though, in a tough spot because I don't think Elspeth is long for this board state.
Yeah. He certainly should have raised the alarm end of turn. I mean, it's not a world apart, but it's a better play.
Okay. Jeez.
Yeah, he's still looking pretty good.
Oh, he's in great shape here, right?
Yeah, I mean, did he discard his land?
It looks like a mountain there.
Oh, I don't like that. He needs to get something going. His strategy against this Elspeth seems to be to just let it tick, and I guess he's going to burn it out next turn.
I think he's just going to take next turn to play Stoke and Lightning Strike and just take down Elspeth.
Yeah, which is fine, but if Raymond had a big draw this turn, he could win this game. I mean, there's not much, but let's pretend Raymond drew Sarkhan here.
Mm-hmm.
He gets 3 1/1s off the Elspeth and 4 points of damage with the Sarkhan. Jan could find his back to the wall.
He is down to 12. Now, as it stands, Raymond has a pair of Goblin Rabble-Masters in hand. And he's going to play both of them here.
Yeah, and one of them will get magma sprayed. So this isn't too much pressure.
Right.
But, you know, it's adding something to the board, considering, you know, Jan has to basically use his whole turn if he wants to kill the Elspeth. Although I guess with Stoke, that raise the alarm is kind of free, huh?
That's right.
So, I mean, he won't fall too far behind Jan. I don't think those Rabble Masters will be enough. Though I do think if he drew Sarka in here, this could have gotten very close.
But it looks like Jan's next turn is going to be a massive one, as he's going to be able to I mean, he's going to kind of go off here, right? He's got multiple raise the alarms in his hand now as well, which is going to allow him to commit a lot of stuff to the board, get a lot of loots, and even play Stoke the Flames and maybe the Lightning Strike as well.
Right, and he's at 11, so if he does take out the Elspeth, though, all the Raise the Alarm tokens have to end up tapped, right? Because the only way they're free is if he uses them to Stoke.
That's right, and he does have to come up with red mana as well, so it gets a little bit tricky since the Raise tokens are white.
Right, so the only thing he could necessarily do is cast one Raise, Stoke, and strike the Elspeth. And if he does do that, there could still be some scary draws for Raymond this turn.
Yeah, absolutely. Raymond's got some pretty nice stuff in this deck, and a lot of it hits quickly, too.
I mean, Jan's at 11. That might even be 11. I'm not even sure if he can make that play.
But there's a Glare of Heresy now for Jan.
Oh, wow.
And that means that all those burn spells get to go either to Raymond's face or to mitigate the threats. And that is going to change things dramatically here.
Yeah, it would have been 9 damage, it looks like, with the Rabble Master, the additional token, and the 3 Elspeth 1/1s. So it would have been super close if he didn't find that Glare, or he would have had to do other things.
So he's still using Stoke.
One thing that I forgot was he gets to untap the guys, so he will have a couple of blockers. It's still a lot of damage, and Raymond could certainly have some big draws this turn, but Jan does have the 2 on-tap blockers. That's my mistake.
But what's the... why did he use the 2 burn spells
Oh,
there?
I have no idea. I would have definitely glared it.
Instead of Glare?
Yeah, I would have definitely glared it.
Okay.
If you glare it, you just have so much mana. You can...
yeah, it's only 2 mana. You get to kill Elspeth.
You can raise the alarm on Raymond's turn, making your guys that are already in play 2/2s and giving you much better blocks and many more blockers. And when you have this many cards in hand, all you want to do is clear the board, keep your life total up, stabilize. Because if this board is even and Jan can't get burnt out, he's not going to lose. So I definitely would have used the glare there. But this isn't that bad for Jan. I mean, Raymond definitely has some potential big draws this turn, but if he bricked, it's not that terrible. Jan's going to go to like 6 if he double blocks a Rabble Master, 7 if he chumps it with 1 and blocks the other 1/1. He'll probably just double block it. I mean, it really depends on Jan's hand. Jan has so many cards now, I can't really say exactly what's right.
Matei didn't look too worried there, I'll say that.
Yeah.
He had a little smile on his face there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a complicated board. There's a lot going on.
There is definitely a lot going on. It just feels like Jan, having resolved 2 treasure cruises and now dealt with the main problem permanent in Elspeth, it feels like it's pretty... Whoa, there's a Stormbreath
That's a decent draw.
Dragon.
This game is going to get tight again.
Now, this is also an interesting spot for the Stoke. He's got the second one in his hand, but I don't think he can cast it this turn, right?
No, he's only got 2 untapped creatures.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Jan's going to take a lot of damage and fall 2 burn range. He's not going to die here, I don't think, but I think that he's going to go to 3 or something like that, where Raymond will have the potential to burn him out over a couple of turns, maybe.
Wow, this could get very close. It has really felt like Jan's been in the driver's seat, but Raymond has just been able to keep enough pressure, and that Stormbreath Dragon was perfectly timed.
Did Raymond cast a spell this turn? Why did the Rabble Master die?
Unsure.
He might have. I'm not 100% sure, but if it was just 2 1/1s from Raise the Alarm.
That wasn't the same turn as the Magma Spray, right? So that wasn't it. No, it wasn't. All right, well, here's Hordling Outburst moving along, and he's going to get a trigger, discard a Flood Strand, get some tokens. So he's got the Jeskai and the tokens part of the Jeskai tokens, but what else is he going to do about these threats? He needs to make sure he kills this dragon, so I would assume that the Stoke the Flames is going to do that.
Yeah, he's certainly going to kill the dragon. He can do it.
Is this another cruise?
Yeah, he can kill the dragon now. He shouldn't pass the turn and let Raymond draw, because he could draw a land, and then the monstrous would prevent him from killing the dragon. I mean, he could do it during his upkeep, which is when he should do it, because then his guys will be bigger on Raymond's turn. So I think...
So that they can block the tokens?
Right. And they untap from the Jeskai Ascendancy, right?
They certainly do.
That's some awesome synergy.
That certainly is. That Ascendancy, it never fails to impress.
So Jan is stable on board, with basically no trouble at removing the Storm Breath and having blockers, but he's now at 3 life.
But he's dead to Lightning Strike or Stoke the Flames?
Right.
Or maybe another Dragon?
Yeah, maybe a Sarkin, maybe a Storm Breath. So, I mean, maybe a Butcher of the Horde. There's guys to sacrifice.
This is the 3rd treasure cruise here for Jan.
Yeah, depending on what Jan comes up with, Raymond could have a lot of outs.
Jan discarded Glare of Heresy, but also drew another one off of the cruise. He's got a Lightning Strike in his hand, too. This game could end very quickly in Jan's favor because he has so much burn. He's going to Stoke, untap, and is he going to get an attack? Like, I wonder at some point.
Well,
he can't hear. All right, because I think he has a Raise the Alarm in hand still, right? Let's take a look.
Did he Hordling outbursted this turn, though, right?
He did.
Yeah, so he only has 1 attack.
Oh, of course, right. Sorry. Yep, my bad. He also does not have Raise. He has just a Glare of Heresy, so. He does have to start considering, though, closing this game out as soon as possible.
Absolutely.
Right?
Every draw step, Raymond has a ton of outs. Did he find like another Stoke to be able to stop Storm Breath or something like that?
No. Let's see. According to our graphic, yes. He's got. All right, no, it's been updated. He does not.
Okay.
He's got a Chandra, which isn't going to do anything.
So let's take a
Lightning
look.
Strike.
Let's take a look at Raymond's deck list.
Yeah,
if we can.
see what do you think he's got. Now, this is a sideboarded game, so we can't be 100%, but you can make a reasonable guess at what he could have.
It looks like he has a ton of outs.
Really?
Yeah, he can draw Stoke the Flames, which he plays 3 copies of, minus however many he's used. Butcher of the Horde, which he plays 4 copies of. Stormbreath Dragon, which he plays 4 copies of.
Oh, my goodness. What about Sarkon?
It does not look like he plays Sarkon.
Okay.
And I don't know how he sideboarded, but I can't imagine he took out many of Butcher of the Horde, Stormbreath Dragon, or Stoke the Flames.
No, his best threats.
Yeah.
All right, and here's an untap. So Jan did actually attack, though, with that token, which had been pumped twice. What did he find? I think it was a Nomad Outpost.
No, don't be a land. It's
now,
fun.
he does still have time, though, right?
I don't know.
Do you think he's dying next turn?
Maybe not with all the chump blockers. I don't know how many of them Jan can burn out. It's likely that he has 1 more draw step, but after some sentencing, he might not have the creature outs anymore, because Butcher requires a guy still in play, or Jan not having Stoke.
Okay, well, it wasn't Nomad. It was, in fact, a Glare of Heresy of his own to kill the Jeskai Ascendancy.
Okay, well, that'll almost...
Does that change things?
Yeah, that'll almost certainly at least buy him the 1 draw step, I think.
Which is really what he's hoping for.
Yeah, I mean, this is a complicated board. I'm not 100%, but it seems unlikely with that Jeskai Ascendancy leaving play that Jan's going to be able to deal him 11 this next turn, or 8 if he Lightning Struck him.
All right, so it looks like Jan goes for the Lightning Strike in response to get that last loot, and then away goes Jeskai Ascendancy into the Exiled Zone.
Yeah.
Now, that also pumps up all the tokens and means that Raymond doesn't get to attack and force trades or anything like that.
Well, I like that. I was disappointed when I thought it was a Nomad Outpost because I thought the game was going to end.
Yeah.
Now that I think we're going to get 1 more draw step.
Yes. I love the sweats. We can see if Raymond Tan can find a way to get 3 damage, and I cannot believe he's even still in this game. 3 treasure cruises from his opponent, who's been playing spells regularly throughout the course of the game.
Yeah, this is exciting.
He's had an Ascendancy since turn 3. He's looted 1,700 times.
This is exciting because
now Raymond Tan gets a rip at this game here.
Yeah, now Jan's team has got to be in the tank trying to figure out if he can do 8. It's probably pretty close. I don't think he can. All he can really do is play the Ascendancy and maybe glare a blocker pumping his guys. That's certainly not 8. Or he can play a Rabble Master, makes 1 extra guy. I'm pretty sure he cannot do 8 this turn. So
he needs to basically pick off every single blocker. I mean, without the Ascendancy in play, though, he can't do it.
Right. So what he needs to do is just make sure he can close it out next turn. He needs to, give Raymond as few draw steps as he possibly can, given that Raymond's sitting on a bunch of outs.
Okay, so here's 1 blocker down and an Ascendancy trigger, but he's down to just 1 mana. This is going to enable some amount of attacks here, though, from Jan. He can actually attack for lethal and force at least 1 chump block.
Sure, and this makes
but
sense.
it would only be one chump block.
Because with 2 guys back, a spot removal does not win the game for Raymond. So this is the correct attack, I believe, at a glance.
Yeah, this makes a lot of sense. So he's attacking for 4, which is also half of Raymond's life total.
Because Raymond could draw like Crackling. Well, Crackling Doom would kill him.
Actually, would kill him in that scenario.
So maybe he should have only attacked with 1 guy. Because if it's 3-3, you can just sack the tapped guy to the Crackling Doom.
Yes.
So he did just give him Crackling Doom as an additional out. It's unclear if Crackling Doom is necessarily still in Raymond's library, since Jan is a token deck.
Yeah, I think I would probably assume that it's not.
Right, and then he's not giving him any outs additional, and this is a good attack.
Yeah.
Because a spot removal does not do anything here, if there's even many left in his deck. A Rabble Master makes 1/1/1 haste guy, and Jan would only fall to 1. So this may be the perfect attack.
Oh, this is going to... I'm getting nervous.
Either way, we're going to get a sweat right here.
We're going to get a great sweat here. Can Raymond Tan peel something to get 3 damage in?
Storm
He's
Breath,
got plenty of outs.
Yeah,
Does he have it?
Storm Breath, Butcher, Strike, Stoke.
What was it, Raymond? I couldn't see it.
Don't slow roll. He's only got 1 untapped.
He put it face down immediately. He's looking at the board. It looks like it may have been a spell here. No, he's passing the turn back. Now, can he survive another turn, Ben?
It depends on what Jan has. I mean, on board, he can by a lot. But if Jan has...
he's got Chandra.
Yeah, so that's going to pump guys. That's going to pump guys. He's going to kill 1 blocker. So we're looking at 2 getting through for 6.
For 6.
No, 2 ascendancies out. So it's going to be for 8 plus the 1 from Chandra. So it's 9 damage if Raymond doesn't have anything.
So Raymond couldn't find it, but Jan could. And he is going to win for his team the match there, which leaves us with but 1 left. And it's going to be a game 3 in the middle table between Joe So and Mikhail Gul'dan. Right there. Mikhail's the one on the right with the tattoos. Joe's on the left there in the sweatshirt. And we're going to get a real nail-biter here to see who is going to stay undefeated. Remember, both of these teams are at 5-0 here at the World Magic Cup. 1 more round of Standard left after this as well. So this is not the last round.
So I thought that this was a blue-black control deck, but he now has an Opulent Palace in play.
Yes, we do have it listed as blue-black control. Why don't we find the deck list for you here, Ben, and have you work your magic on this thing. Here's Malaysia. There's Joe So right there for you, Ben. You can take a minute to look over that, and we'll take a look at this game state here and see what these players are working with still in the early stages.
I guess he just wanted more dual lands. I don't see any green spells, but I do see the gain land, I think. I'm not 100%.
So Dismal Backwater is the one you're looking for the gain land. Is this just a 5th Dismal Backwater?
Well, on the lands, it says Dismal, but I don't know if that's Backwater.
Oh, I see. He actually just wrote it incorrectly. It says Dismal Palace. So he's got 1 Opulent Palace, though.
And
okay.
So it looks like he's playing exactly 1 Opulent Palace just for an extra duel and 4 Dismal Palace, which are clearly Dismal Backwaters.
Those are all 4 Dismal Backwaters. That's correct. You get a look at Michael there. He's huge, by the way.
I was told.
Walked by him. He's
team
massive.
enforcer?
Definitely. It's not Matej Zadelkai, I'll tell you that. Okay. So pretty standard openers here. A Thoughtseize on one side. There's a Sylvan Caryatid on the other. And we'll get things moving in the direction of another Thoughtseize here for Joe So. And he's going to see the remaining cards in Gul'dan's hand, which are, well, you saw them there for a minute, a Courser of Crewfix, a Caryatid. There's a Doomwake Giant there, too, and a Commune. But it looks like Joe's most concerned with the Courser. He's going to take that.
And that decision was only between the Commune and the Courser. He's got a Hero's Downfall, so he's not scared at all of Doomwake Giant since he doesn't have 1 toughness creatures.
It's not very good against him, huh?
Right. But the Commune could potentially find Pharika, which I think would be really scary for him if it came into play.
Okay. So he needs to get his shields up as far as counterspells go before Michael can find it. Now here is Commune. Unfortunately, it's not going to find much. It does find a Reclamation Sage, which you've seen used pretty decently against this deck. A well-timed Reclamation Sage can do work on a Perilous Vault.
Right, and
I don't know if
obviously
it has any other targets in that.
Obviously, it made sense to take the Courser because he would have to commune into Farika, whereas we already knew he had Courser. And Joe, if it resolves, he could already get a land off the top of the stack. Joe would have to Hero's Downfall it, which would leave him without an answer for the Doomwake Giant anyway. So, I mean, as turns go by, he has the ability to draw more removal, more outs, more card drawing.
I already feel the pressure building. You know, you mentioned it before, but Michael Gul'dan's deck does not apply early pressure, and the more that Joe So gets to kind of set things up, the further it feels like the pendulum shifts towards him.
Exactly. So Joe wanted to take the Courser because it's a problem now and just further extend the game and, you know, hope he draws into any of his card drawing that could break this game wide open.
See that he's got a Drown in Sorrow in his hand. He's got a few lands as well. You know, most control players, including this blue-black control player list, they love hitting their land drops. Just want to keep doing that.
I don't think that's going to be a problem for him this game.
It doesn't look like it. So he passes a turn back to Gul'dan.
It's a pretty cool game because Gul'dan doesn't really have much action either. Just this Doomwake Giant that we know is going to get downfalled. So it's kind of a top deck battle now.
That's got to favor Joe, right?
It does certainly favor Joe, but I'm sure Gul'dan has plenty of big draws. So, I mean, he's super live.
What are the big spells that he has? Like, you know, they don't run Planeswalkers or anything like that. Like, does he have, like, Nissa maybe?
Well, I mean, it depends on exactly what he's playing. It looks similar to the green-black Constellation deck that the PGO chose to run at Worlds. That's Huey Jensen, Owen Turntwald, and Reed Duke. If it is, then his big draws are Farika, Hornet Queen. That may have been boarded out, I'm not sure. Eidolon of Blossoms would be pretty good. Courser would be pretty good. He's got lots of big draws.
Okay.
The reason the blue-black deck's a favorite is because it has bigger draws, like Dig Through Time, that would effectively, you know, let him find another big card, and two more big cards, basically, like probably an answer and a big card.
Okay, so here's an Arbor Colossus. That's going to resolve, but answers incoming here for Joe. So Jace's Ingenuity is going to get him 3 fresh cards on end step, and then he's also going to get a draw for his regular draw step. And you got to figure he can find an answer to this board. I mean, is he really just looking for a Perilous Vault here? I guess he still knows. It doesn't he still have Reclamation Sage? Doesn't Gul'dan? Yeah, he does. So he's still got Reclamation Sage in hand.
So they both
This is
drew.
getting interesting.
Yeah, they both just drew one of their more powerful spells, a 5-mana card. I don't think Joe found anything, though. I mean, he found a Dissolve, so if he does find an answer for that Arbor Colossus, he'll be in great shape.
But he's going to need a spot removal spell.
And he's going to need it quick, because Arbor Colossus is not small.
Now, what about Empty the Pits? Can he fire that off here?
Does he have that?
Yeah, it's in his hand.
Oh, I didn't think that Empty the Pits was a card that saw a lot of play, but that's cool.
You are correct. It does not see a lot of play, but we occasionally see it as a one-of out of the board or something like that, and Joso has it in his hand.
Well, I guess we can start counting. I don't know how many tutus he can make.
Let's see. He's got 4. He can make 1, 2. He can make 3 of them.
It's not really enough to stop Arbor Colossus.
No, not because of the monstrous ability. And also here's Doomwake Giant as well. This is actually, Joe's falling behind pretty quickly. He may have to run a Dissolve out here on this Doomwake Giant.
Yeah, he's in bad shape.
He really is.
If that Doomwake Giant is resolving, he would have to make 2/2s now because they come into play tapped, and then find a Perilous Vault and make 2 more land drops, which I think he has plenty of land in hand. And then, actually he may not. His hand just looks like Bile Blights and Drown in Sorrows.
Yeah, he's got the Dissolve as well.
So if he dissolves it, though, he's facing lethal, and the Empty the Pits makes tapped guys. So he's got 1 turn to top deck a Hero's Downfall.
I wonder if he can he empty the pits and dissolve, just not empty the pits for the full amount to make like a chump blocker?
I don't think so, because he has to pay 4 for Empty the Pits, right?
Yeah, he does.
So, I mean...
So, yeah, no, he can't. You're right.
Possible.
So that's not an option either.
Oh, but Dissolve does let you scry, so I guess he'll dissolve this, and he'll have 2 cards, the scry and, you know...
Yeah, he gets that.
The draw step.
Okay, here's the Dissolve. So this is actually a huge scry here for Joe.
If he leaves it on top, that's bad for McCall, because, you know, he's definitely a huge dog in this game if that Arbor Colossus gets Hero's Downfall.
Right.
I mean, we know Empty the Pits is going to go to work.
It will go to work eventually. This seems like a fairly straightforward decision here for Joe. So he couldn't quite see the card, but where did it go? I guess he put it on the bottom. I couldn't see.
I wonder what it could have been to even be a decision.
Yeah, it feels like it's something that kills it or not. Now, can he buy a turn with his Bile Blight?
Yeah, it looks that way.
Just shrinking down the Arbor Colossus. I guess if he could find a second Bile Blight, that would do it too.
Oh, wow. But if he can buy a turn with the Bile Blight, well, it looks like he found Hero's Downfall.
Oh, wow. So I think he shipped to the bottom and then just drew Hero's Downfall.
Right. But more interestingly, if he hadn't, he would have, well, the Llanowar would actually be the Elvish Mystic, sorry, would actually be exactly lethal. But he has a Drown 2. But if he drowns and Bile Blights, then he wouldn't be able to empty the pits. Wouldn't have been. So it's actually, I'm not sure if that Bile Blight bought him a turn or not. Like, obviously, he could have another turn and another Scry to try and find Hero's Downfall, because he could drown the Mystic away, Scry, pass a turn, Bile Blight the Arbor, it gets monstrous, he goes to exactly 1, and then he has another turn to top deck Hero's Downfall. But I don't think he would have had an opportunity to empty the pits had he not found this Hero's Downfall.
But he did.
But he did. And
so this is going to swing the match firmly in his favor and put the ball back in Gul'dan's court. What does Michael have to find here? Just another big threat like that?
Well, if he finds a Thoughtseize for the empty the pits, neither player will have much of anything going.
Okay.
If he finds a lethal threat, the empty the pits guy's coming to play tapped, so Joe will have to top deck another answer if it's a lethal threat. But it would have to be real big, because Joe could do the Bile Blight empty the pits play next turn, and empty the pits is for quite a bit now.
Yeah, those pits are getting quite deep here.
Yeah, so I mean, there's certainly draws Michael can have, but I think Michael's in pretty bad shape right now.
So he's going to attack with the Colossus. It's going to get Hero's Downfall. Does he just run the Reclamation Sage out here at this point?
Yeah, he probably might as well.
Is that where we're at here?
Yeah, there's no reason to hold it for Perilous Vault anymore, I don't think.
Joso does not look like a worried person, though it doesn't really feel like they have a whole lot to worry about or to think about here decision-wise. I mean, that Colossus is hitting the red zone either way.
Yeah, but it looks like Mikhail drew Whip, so what they're debating is whether to play it pre-combat or not. Because, is there a reason? Because if the Arbor Colossus is going to die, there's no reason.
Well, but it's interesting because the Colossus is not lethal here, right?
Right, so that's what they're discussing. Do you attack and lethal it to make him have the Hero's Downfall? Do you play the Whip because you're gaining such an advantage anyway? You don't need it to be lethal?
Yeah, so this actually gets very interesting.
Right, and they're going with this. So they must be pumping it, because if they were going to play the Whip, they'd probably play it pre-combat.
Wow, so just a perfect outcome for Joso and Team Malaysia, as now there's no Whip on the battlefield, and that's going to slow that whole progression down as well, because it costs so much mana to Whip and activate it. Pass the turn back to Joe, but he is... Well, so now it's the empty the pits turn, right?
Yeah, and that play may look bad, but it wasn't, because we knew that he did not have a Hero's Downfall in his hand. He even scried to the bottom, right? So he only had it if he top decked it.
Yes.
So you should play for the win there, because it's not like you auto win if you play the Whip and hit with the Colossus and he doesn't have Downfall.
Exactly. And giving him an extra draw step could be absolutely disastrous. But here is Whip of Erebos, and bang, empty the pits. Let's see how much it ends up being for.
Wow.
He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zombie tokens. Wow. Empty the pits just going over the top here. Michael with no Doomwake Giant in sight. Let's look at his hand. Pair of Reclamation Sages. Pretty miserable stuff here for Team Slovak Republic. Remember, this is Game 3 of the deciding match to stay undefeated here at the World Magic Cup. Malaysia looking to go 6-0 and try to finish strong at 7-0 after day 1. Slovak Republic, one of the more stacked teams in the field, at 5-0, and wishing that they could be the ones going 6-0. Joso.
That was great to see them deep tank on play the Whip or activate the monster.
I thought that was really cool, too.
Certainly a very close play. I certainly would not fault them either way there.
I like what you said. I think you go for it there. I mean, he has one natural draw step.
Yeah, and you know he didn't have it previous. It's not like, well, I don't know, maybe his last card could be Downfall. He has to have drawn it that turn.
That's right. And in the meantime, in comes all of them? All right, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 damage.
Also, if you're McCall, don't forget, we're looking at this empty the pits. McCall is not. McCall doesn't assume he's under any pressure. It's like, all right, if he heroes downfalls it, I'll just play whip next turn. Maybe I'm giving him 1 turn to draw a counter. Maybe he has a second dissolve. He already used 1. He probably doesn't, you know?
Right.
Meanwhile, he was actually under the clock of all clocks because of empty the pits.
Yes.
But, I mean, whip gains life. This could still be close. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it feels like Joe's going to be able to leverage the 2/2 zombies one way or the other. He can either attack like this and win if he has that opportunity. If not, leaving back, 6 2/2 zombies makes the attack options for Gul'dan not amazing. He can either just trade them off, so it's like whip activations trading for zombies, or if there's a real threat, he can stack block. So Joso has a lot of resources to work with here.
And if he found an enchantment, he could maybe clear the board, because if he whips the Doomwake in play and then plays an enchantment, that's -2/-2 to everything, right?
Right. Let's see what he's found for his, it's Temple of Malady.
Well, that's not an enchantment.
Nope. 2 Reclamation Sages aren't doing much here either.
He does have 1 more draw step, I think, if Joe doesn't have anything. 6 guys, 2 blockers, plus he's going to gain some life.
Yeah, he can gain 6 here, right? He's got the Arbor Colossus down there.
Yeah. So I think...
Man, this is pretty insane for Gul'dan too. I mean, look at that. He has 2 Pro Tour top 8 competitors, including a Pro Tour champion in his ear helping him. So,
wow, and he's going with the Courser, not the Arbor Colossus. I didn't see that coming.
wow, that's interesting.
I mean, maybe
That gets him to 10.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same amount of turns, but I mean, you would think if he gained 6 and hit for 6, that would kind of threaten Joe, because Joe would go to 1 if he didn't have anything, and then the whip is still out. I mean, maybe it's lethal in 2 no matter what, so this could definitely be the right play. I'm not really sure.
All right, well, Gul'dan's going to gain a life because he does have a Courser of Krufix in hand or on the battlefield right now. Maybe temporarily, but it still counts, and it's going to attack. It's going away anyway, might as well battle. Joso does have a Bile Blight. Is he thinking about trying to set up the win next turn? I don't think he can because of the second Caryatid there.
If he biled it, he would just stay at 9, and then 2 guys get blocked, and he takes 8. Yeah, so there's no reason to do that.
Not enough, so he's just going to take it, jump back up to 11 life. He's got Satyr Wayfinder on the top of his library. It's going to stay there. It doesn't have to be revealed right now, but whatever.
And that's not going to help him. I'm not sure that he can draw any other cards to get that second enchantment he would need.
In the meantime, in comes the team. That's going to drop Gul'dan down to 3 here. And Joso just calmly passes the turn back. He feels like he's in the driver's seat. He is at 5 here.
Well, he knows that he's drawing that Wayfinder, and he knows he didn't have the enchantment last turn. He doesn't know if Michael needed 1 more mana or something like that.
Interesting here, too. I mean, the Wayfinder can hit all number of things that hit the graveyard, like maybe a Hornet Queen or something along those lines.
That is interesting.
That he can then whip back.
Yeah, I don't know this matchup super well. My guess would be that Mikhail boards out Hornet Queen because it's just a very expensive threat.
It's just too clunky, yeah.
Yeah, and you see Drowning Sorrow is already a good answer for it.
There's that Farika you mentioned earlier, Ben.
That could be okay. Probably not enough to live. Maybe with the Nixos. If he whips that in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7.
2, 3, 4.
I think it's on, and then he could hit for 5. Putting himself to 8, and then he can't really make 1/1s though because he needs all his blockers for sure. But he's not dead. What a game this has turned into.
This has been kind of insane.
He might be dead to the Bile Blight though, because he'll only take 2, let's say. So Miguel will go to 5, not 8, and then have 3 blockers to his 6 attackers, which means 6 is getting through, and the 1 life gain from the Wayfinder. That would actually be Xaxes.
Looking at Joso's hand.
Oh, he has 2 Bile Blights.
Pair of Bile Blights here.
Well, that's going to be
that
more than
changes
enough.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
That means even an active Farika attacking into the red zone for 5 can actually just be killed. One of the few ways you can actually get rid of a god.
Yeah, and actually it's exactly 7 permanents. minutes, I think.
Yeah,
Color
it is. It's 1,
symbols.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's correct.
So he can bio like the Wayfinder, turning off the Farika. So this is, if So had nothing in hand, no bio blights, this would be super duper tight. But with Joe having 2 bio blights, I think he's good.
I think he's good as well. Let's find out, though. Let's see what the play is. It looks like Arbor Colossus was the choice here, and there's 2 Bile Blights right now from Joso to kill the Arbor Colossus before anything happens, and that's going to do it. Malaysia wins. They are 6-0 here at the World Magic Cup. Ooh.
Yeah, that was exciting. Obviously, the Arbor Colossus was 1 bigger than the Farika, so it made more sense to get that anyway.
Sure.
But either way, that was super tight, and if So had nothing in hand, I think that he might have been able to win the game.
That was great stuff. A huge top deck there as well. We have to go back and remember the removal spell. You know, he found the hero's downfall off the top at just the latest right moment. And sometimes that's how those blue-black control decks go. But he needed to have it right then. He did. And him and his team advance to undefeated still. Now, the Slovak Republic, let's not shed too many tears for them. They still have a blockbuster lineup with only 1 loss. Why don't we send it over to the news desk for more updates from what's going on around the tournament.
Thanks so much to Marshall Sutcliffe and Hall of Famer Mr. Ben Stark down there in the feature match area. So, scores are coming in round 6. Remember, you must have a positive record. That is certain. Talking to some of the teams out there, they seem to think that 1, 2, 3, maybe as many as 4 teams on 4 and 3 might not make it back. I think 4 is a little pessimistic, but somebody will almost certainly miss out at 4 and 3. Now, 2 prime contenders for that, Hungary were 0 and 2, but have fought back with 4 wins on the bounce to 4 and 2. England started out 0 and 2 and have come back to 4 and 2. With a win, of course, they're in at 5 and 2 in their last round. With a loss, though, they are going to be amongst the teams really sweating the tie breaks. And all of a sudden, what happens to Team Bolivia or Team Guatemala or Team USA or anyone they've played already for the opponent match win percentage is going to be enormous. You've seen Malaysia get to 6 and 0. Israel are at 5 and 1. That's a great story. But so too the team they defeated, South Africa, Karan Chetty and the boys, up to 4 and 2. They have not had a great history in the World Magic Cup or Worlds in the past years, but Karan Chetty and his team are at 4 and 2, even with a loss, and they have a great chance of advancing to day 2. That would be a brilliant achievement for a small Magic community. USA are 4 and 2. Why don't we look at the master scoreboard while I'm going through these results for you? United States are at 4 and 2 over Slovenia, 3 and 3. There you see Malaysia going to 6 and 0. The 5-1 Slovak Republic, the Netherlands up to 5 and 1, Frank Karsten and the guys. Sweden, they were the ones who missed out last year. They're not missing out this year. They are well on course for a top 2 seed. And if you are in the top 16, you will come back tomorrow as a 1 or a 2 seed in your pool. We will reveal all the pools tonight after the last round. Israel 5 and 1, the Czech Republic 5 and 1. Now, Uruguay, that 4-1 and 1, and Serbia 4-1 and 1, their draw was intentional. At 4 and 1, they shook hands with each other. They said, we wish to play in pool play on day 2. Let's give ourselves a point. We now cannot miss out in that tiebreak in the 31, 32, 33, 34 slot. Hong Kong's draw, that was earlier in the day against Turkey, who have faded slightly, not on the leaderboard right now. You see all the 4 and 2s, Brazil well positioned at 4 and 2, and therefore with a loss, well, you would think they would still be in great shape because they were up at 4 and 0, down to 4 and 2. USA in the middle of the 40 pack. Let's move on to the next set of countries if we can. See 19 through 36. And there you see some of the teams. You're seeing so many draws. Singapore, 3 wins, 1 loss, 2 draws. They're certainly in with a win. So too Scotland at 3-2 and 1. They drew intentionally with Spain, said let's not play each other now. Let's just move on, go to the last round, knowing that a win puts us in. All the rest at 3-3, most of those will face off in straight elimination matches. We're going to have so many eliminations in this last round. Fantastic stuff. Chile, Dominican Republic, you see there, 26th, 27th. They're doing well to still be in contention. Norway, led by Hall of Famer Nico Herzog, are at 3-3. Let's move on, take you down to 37 through 54. You see Peru, they have a shot. Now, Switzerland and Japan were among the favourites for this event. France, the defending champions, they all need a win in the last round. They could face each other in this last round, and then you start getting into the realm of teams that cannot make it. Turkey fell away to 2-3-1, and from there on down, they will not be back. So that's the state of play in the tournament right now. But coming up in just a moment, I'm going to have a very special guest here at the news desk.